Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this 1010 webinar today. My name is Els and I will be your webinar moderator. Today we will explain you about the inclusiveness of the standardization system and how that we ensure that all stakeholders are represented. Now, before we start the presentation, I would like to remind you that all attendees are muted, but of course you still have the possibility to ask your questions. There will be a 5 minutes question and answer session after the presentation, so please during the presentation enter your questions so that we can have a look at them afterwards. Should your questions not be answered, don't worry, we will put them on the CENELEC website together with the answers, of course, and the presentation and the recorded webinar of today. CENELEC is also on Twitter, so please use the hashtag 1010webinar to tweet about the webinar. Now it's time to give the floor to our speaker of today. We will be guided through the topic today by my colleague Ingrid Soetaert, who is project manager focusing on the policy and stakeholders engagement. So Ingrid, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Els. I would like to start with a small reminder of the CEN and CENELEC goal, which is to develop European standards and other technical specifications to respond to the needs of European industry while meeting consumer, environmental and other societal expectations. Through cooperation with all the main stakeholders, CEN and CENELEC are actively involved in removing trade barriers for European industry and consumers and contribute to the consolidation of the European single market. This presentation is about the commitment from CEN and CENELEC and their members to cooperate with key organizations for the development of sound partnership relations aimed at meeting CEN and CENELEC's goal. As a second reminder, the main principle of European standardization is the national delegation principle, where one or more people selected by a national standards body or national committee and national mirror committee put forward the agreed national position in the CEN or CENELEC committee meetings. These national mirror committees bring together all relevant stakeholders to establish a national consensus position on the work. Such stakeholders can be business or industry, including SMEs, small and medium-sized enterprises, academia, governmental departments, representatives from consumers, trade unions, environmentalists, research institutes, and so on. They all contribute to establishing the national consensus that is then brought at CEN and CENELEC level. Some stakeholders also have a voice directly at European level, such as the European Commission and EFTA, affiliates and partner organizations. They participate to the European standardization system as observer, which means they have no voting right. Today's presentation will highlight which kind of partnerships exist and how they interact with CEN and CENELEC. CEN-CENELEC Guide 25, the concept of partnership with European organizations and other stakeholders, provides the guidelines of CEN and CENELEC's policy towards building partnerships with European organizations, associations and other recognized stakeholders who have an interest in European standardization and are willing and able to provide added value knowledge and to actively contribute with inputs and proposals to CEN and or CENELEC governing and technical bodies. These partnerships are developed taking into account the complementary roles of each partner and are respectful of the different levels at which such cooperation may take place, be it at national or European level. Therefore, partnerships developed under Guide 25 do not remove the need for the members of the partner organization to participate in the work of their national standard bodies and national electrotechnical committees, where national opinions are formed, votes are decided, and consensus has to be reached. There are 6 categories of partners within CEN and CENELEC. We have the partner organization, liaison organization, associated body, European councillor, European institutional stakeholder, and then other cooperating partners. All European partners cooperating with CEN and/or CENELEC fall into one of the categories depending on their private-public nature, their representativeness, and area of interest. CEN and CENELEC offer European organizations, associations and stakeholders 2 main areas in which to build active partnerships. The first one is partnership at the level of governing bodies and their working or advisory groups, such as the General Assemblies, Presidential Committee, their working advisory groups, as well as the CEN and/or CENELEC technical boards. The aim is to increase the competitiveness of the European industry and to contribute to the welfare of European society. Such high-level partnerships are with the European Union and EFTA, as well as with sectoral and pan-sectoral organizations representing at European level the interests of industries, SMEs, and societal groups. The second area is partnership at the level of technical committees and other technical groups, so technical committees, subcommittees, working groups, and others, as they are defined in the CEN-CENELEC internal regulations. The aim here is to ensure high quality and consensus-based technical deliverables. Let's have a look at each of these 6 categories. The first category is the partner organization. An organization wishing to become partner organization of CEN and/or CENELEC has to be an independent European or international European-based sectoral or pan-sectoral organization. Under pan-sectoral, we have, for example, organizations promoting a defined category of stakeholders, such as SMEs, or societal interests, such as consumers, social or environmental stakeholders. In addition, the organization is able to represent a very significant part of the European interest groups related to its defined area of competence. The organization has to be willing and able to provide relevant inputs to the work of one or more CEN and/or CENELEC technical bodies. They have to be willing and able to actively contribute to dialogue with CEN and/or CENELEC governing bodies, and they have to be open to membership of appropriately qualified national organizations in the countries from the members of CEN and CENELEC. There are more requirements, but these are the most important ones. At present, there are 13 CEN and CENELEC partner organizations. This list is the partners of CEN. So we have E2E, Euralarm, FIAC, Orgalim, and METEC Europe. And these are the partners of CENELEC. So Aplia, Cable Europe, Capiel, Secapi, E2E also, Eurelectric, Europa Cable, the Connex Association, Orgalim, and TND Europe. The partner organization is entitled to benefit from partnership at the level of governing bodies and their working or advisory groups. So they are invited to the CEN and CENELEC General Assemblies, to the administrative boards, presidential committee, and their respective working or advisory groups, as well as the CEN and CENELEC technical boards. They have observership in BT, so no voting right, but they are allowed to formulate advice on current and future standards programs, providing inputs for BT consideration, and they have the right to lodge an appeal, however limited to matters associated with work carried out by those TCs in which they participate. Participation at technical level is understood as attendance and contribution in CEN and CENELEC to technical bodies, so TCs, subcommittees, working groups, and so on. The partnership organization may request observership at any time in specific technical bodies, and such requests are decided upon by the CEN and/or CENELEC technical boards upon advice of the concerned technical body. A partner organization that has observership in a TC has access to all the working documents and to public inquiries and can submit comments to public inquiries. However, we will see on the next slide that we also have a special subcategory of partner organizations, which are the Annex 3 partner organizations, who also have the right to submit comments at the voting stage. All partner organizations also have the right to participate in CEN and/or CENELEC technical bodies without voting rights, but they can propose technical documents with a view of their possible conversion into a CEN or CENELEC deliverable, or introduce preparatory work as a support to ongoing standardization activities. They can also submit technical contributions to the body's meetings and formulate advice on current and future standards programs. I just mentioned the special subcategory of partner organizations, which are the organizations covered by Annex 3 of Regulation from the European Commission 1025 of 2012 on European standardization, as they have an overall or very broad interest in CEN and CENELEC work. With standards playing a key role to protect the consumers, workers and the environment, it is logic that civil society has to be involved in standardization. 3 Annex 3 organizations have a special role in promoting the interests of civil society in the development of standards in Europe and internationally. These are ANEC, representing consumers, ECOS, representing environment interests, and ETUC, representing the trade unions. They all offer the expertise needed for better standards and bring balance to a standardization system which they legitimize through their participation and contributions. ANEC and ECOS actively participate each in about 70 CEN and/or CENELEC TCs. ETUC participates in about 10 CEN TCs. The 4th Annex 3 organization is SBS, which represents SMEs in about 50 CENELEC and/or CEN technical committees. There's a clear distinction between Annex 3 partner organizations and the other partner organizations. There is a standing CEN and CENELEC BT decision that the European stakeholder organizations listed in Annex 3 of EU Regulation 1025 of 2012 and that have entered into partnership with CEN and/or CENELEC are entitled to participate in any technical committee and its relevant working groups, and this without any restriction. This means that the TC does not have to advise the technical board whether it would be an added value if the Annex 3 organization would participate or not. The Annex 3 organization just informs in which TC they want to participate, and we allow them. Experts appointed by the Annex 3 partner organizations have the right to attend meetings and receive relevant documents of those technical committees, working groups they have requested access to. They have observership at technical body level and can appoint members to working groups with the same rights as the other working group members. In addition to the rights the other partner organizations have, Annex 3 organizations also have access to documents submitted to vote, and they can submit comments at voting stage. In addition to the right to comment on draft standards, the Annex 3 organizations representing societal stakeholders, so ANNEC, ECOS and ITUC, also have the right to submit an opinion on draft European standards, undergoing public inquiry, or submitted for formal approval, so vote. The second category of partnership is the one of liaison organization. The status of liaison organization is offered to those European organizations, including fora and consortia, representing interest groups that are committed to provide input to the work of one or more CEN and/or CENELEC technical bodies. The liaison organization is expected to provide high-quality, added-value expertise in a defined technical context. The status of liaison organization may also be valuable when collaboration between an existing technical committee and a funded European research project is envisaged. In such cases, the liaison organization status may just be granted for the duration of the research project. The organization requesting to participate in a technical body is granted that status upon advice from the concerned technical committee. To date, CEN has 276 liaison organizations, for example, Construction Products Europe, Cosmetics Europe, Digital Europe, SME Safety, UNIFE, and so on. CENELEC has 30 liaison organizations, such as also Digital Europe, Euralarm, Eurobat, Lighting Europe, the WEEE Forum, and so on. The liaison organization has access to the technical committee and working group documents and participate to the meeting without voting rights. They can propose technical comments with a view of their possible conversion into CEN or CENELEC deliverables. They can introduce preparatory work as a support to ongoing standardization activities. They can submit technical contributions and formulate advice on current and future standards programs. Liaison organizations, but also the partner organizations, have to ensure that the technical input they provide and that is provided by their representatives in technical bodies, that it represents the consensus view of their members and their stakeholders. I added a slide because I regularly need to send emails to TC secretaries, mainly upon request from the Annex 3 organizations. If an Annex 3 organization wants to participate in your TC does not have to make an evaluation. Annex 3 can by default participate. And as a slight remark, please don't tell Annex 3 organizations that they have to contact their national standards body or their national committee to be given access to your TC. For the same reason, they can participate in any TC they want. Because of the difference between partner organizations, Annex 3 partner organizations and liaison organizations, it is not always clear, so I added an additional slide on access. We see that each of them can send one observer to TC and subcommittee meetings. For working groups, there is no maximum number indicated in the internal regulations, so we leave it up to the convener to decide how large the group can be to keep it manageable. You see that there is a difference for what concerns access to documents, so through the electronic platforms, there are different accesses granted. Annex 3 have more access than, for example, a liaison organization. And here you can see that Annex 3 have access to drafts and can submit comments up to and including the voting stage, while other partners can only do so up to inquiry. For the rest, and also liaison organizations, they have to go through the national members of CEN and CENELEC. The third group are the associated bodies. Considering the CEN and CENELEC missions, it's also of importance to ensure full partnership with identified organizations having recognized technical expertise in a specific field and who are willing and able to provide preparatory standardization work on a systematic and organized basis to be further introduced into the normal CEN and CENELEC standard making process. On a case-by-case basis, CEN and/or CENELEC establish a formal agreement with such organizations that includes, for example, the arrangements on their access to the technical bodies and their documents. The associated body will also have access to the BT meetings upon invitation. CEN has two associated bodies, which are ISD STAN and ACES. The European councillors are nominated representatives from the European Commission and EFTA, who regularly participate in CEN and/or CENELEC governing and technical body meetings and their activities. They can participate to the spring annual general assemblies, the working groups or advisory groups of CEN and CENELEC governing bodies, technical boards and technical bodies. The category of European institutional stakeholder is for European Commission's agencies, research services, or other European intergovernmental organizations, being European Commission agencies such as ERA, ENISA, EASA, and so on, the European Commission Joint Research Centre, JRC, which participates in about 35 CEN and/or CENELEC technical committees, European intergovernmental organizations such as the European Patent Office, the European Defence Agency, and so on. CEN and/or CENELEC agree with the European institutional stakeholders in a formal agreement and on a case-by-case basis on mutual benefits, the rights and obligations with regard to the participation of these European institutional stakeholders in the activities of CEN and/or CENELEC, and on any other possible commitment. And finally, we have the other partner organizations, which concern a few specific and exceptional cases when the organization or the nature of the partnership do not fall under any of the above indicated categories. CEN and CENELEC may negotiate specific partnership agreements on a case-by-case basis. Some examples: NSA with the NATO Standardization Agency. It's an international governmental organization. We have the International Federation of Standard Users, so IFAN, and in particular its European group. The European organization EA, European Cooperation for Accreditation. This organization benefits from a specific formal recognition on accreditation matters by the European institutions. These were the different stakeholder categories. What you should take with you from this presentation is the CEN and CENELEC goal, which is to develop European standards and other technical specifications to respond to the needs of European industry while meeting consumers, environmental and other societal expectations. The national delegation principle is key. Standardization is not only for and by industry, but the consensus amongst a variety of stakeholders, including societal stakeholders. We saw 6 categories of stakeholders who have a direct voice at European level. And please avoid that I have to send you emails saying that Annex 3 partner organizations have the right to participate in your TC and that your TC does not have to give them permission to do so. And as a note, if you are still unsecure or unsure about the right for opinion and what it is, the right of opinion that ANEC, ECOS and ETUC have, you will find all info in CEN and CENELEC BOSS.